hey, I'm hitting the ball as good as I have at any point during my life, and it's all by just concentrating on this one simple thing. The most consistent ball strikers on tour do it, and I think that you can too. Now, what I've been focusing on for a while now is trying to release the club head with the face square to the arc. This is not only going to give me the most control over the direction of my shots, and if I were to screw up, it would tend to be a small miss rather than a big miss. And also by releasing the club very freely, I'm putting the most possible power that I can get out of the release too. The first thing I would do is I would start with an alignment stick to get the feeling of releasing the club head freely. And I would do this simply by swatting it like it's a fly swatter. I'm trying to make the tip of the stick make a loud swishing sound, something like this. You can see it's a very nice loud sound. That's because the tip of the stick is making this loud noise by displacing the air the most. The tip of the stick on those swings was probably in the neighborhood of 150 or 160 miles per hour. But it's probably the simplest way that you can start to feel a free release. Of course, if I were to release this thing without making a sound, I'll try to use my golf swing and not make a sound. You see, this is what a lot of my students sound like. They have either no whoosh or just very small amount of whoosh. This is because I'm not snapping the hands and accelerating the club head with my hands. Now, how am I doing that? I'm going to go from a 90-degree or more wrist cock coming down to a 90-degree or more rehinging of the wrists with the least amount of travel of the handles. If you have the handle of the stick moving a lot during this motion of snapping the wrists, like this, for example, it's going to seriously curtail the speed, as you can hear or not hear my swoosh anymore. And again, you're not keeping this handle from slowing down and staying kind of contained. You're making it swing in a wide arc too. The bigger that this travels, the slower that this is going to travel. So we have that oscillation about the wrists, like this, 90 degrees, over to 90 degrees, and you start increasing the burst of energy. It's a really good exercise to do just to teach yourself how to create a massive amount of speed, and it actually feels easier than what you're doing now. Now next, let's take a look at the arc and what it would look like and feel like to have the club face be square to that arc. So that would look something like this. If we start with this club at impact behind the ball and dead square, which would mean I'm going to hit a very straight shot most likely. Remember that club face, controlling the club face, is the second most important thing for many golfers, is the most important thing they can do to drop their score significantly. It's just simply control the club face and not make as big of an error angle-wise, so that your misses left and right are small. You can find the ball, you don't go into the next fairway and out of bounds. Now we extend this backwards, square to the arc, square to the arc, square to the arc, all the way back to about here. About 4 hours from impact, your club would look something like this. Now, see, that club is followed the arc backwards with the club face square to it. So that would look like about this coming in. And then, as I follow the arc back down again, here's square to the arc, square to the arc, square to the arc. You can see how the club would exit as well. So this is a big important principle that most golfers simply aren't following, and that is an inside to inside swing of both the club head and the handle of the club. It needs to be on a curve. Everything done in the golf swing is a curve or an arc. So you can see how this would work. You need to figure out how to swing this from the inside with the club face square to this arc as long as possible, which would mean, look where it's going to exit. It's going to reappear in my follow through from the camera's perspective underneath my left shoulder, almost coming out around my armpit. And notice that if you keep the club face square to the arc, it's going to come out pointing back at the camera again. See that? Just like that. So that's what it would look like to swing the club square around the arc. It goes from the inside It curves into the ball to hit it squarely. At the one moment in the swing where the club and the path are pointing at the flag or the target, and then back around to the inside again. Now, once you're able to get both of these concepts, you can start to combine the two. You're combining that super loose, bursting, loud swoosh of the club head, and you're sending the club through around the arc, square to the arc. And there's a good long straight shot pretty close to the target. Now let's look at a couple of the most consistent ball strikers in the last 5 years statistically on planet Earth. First, let's take a look at Collin Morikawa. I want you to watch how his club face stays square around the arc from the inside, exits abruptly back to the inside, especially with his hands working back around the arc. And then look at that exit again. That club is coming out his armpit with the club face pointing right back at the target. Also, what you're going to see is no chicken wing here. If you have released it free without advancing the handle this way, you're going to come out. This is a key point if you film yourself. When I come out, the first thing you're going to see is my finger and my thumb on my right hand before you see my left elbow come out. So it's coming out the armpit. It's going to be parallel to your shoulder line, like you see in Collin Morikawa's frame here, and no elbow sticking out. So no chicken wing. This is a result of the free release of the hands without pulling on the handle. Next, let's take a look at the expert swing, the phenomenal swing of Adam Scott. You can see it's a very, very similar swing. He's got the face tracking square to the arc, inside to square, and immediately back to the inside again. It's not inside out, it's inside to inside. And you can see as he exits and he comes back around again that the club shaft is below his shoulder. That's a great landmark for you to copy, specifically out of his armpit, parallel to his shoulders. And look at that club face pointing right back at the camera again, because there is no need when you swing inside to inside on this arc, there's no need to have to twist the toe. And I believe that it's much more efficient, it's much more consistent than a swing which does not follow square to the arc principle, inside to inside. If you're trying to swing inside to out this way and not back in again, then you're going to have to twist the shaft more and more. And there's a lot of guys who play that way. And you can play okay that way, but you're always going to have days when you're hooking it or pushing it. And of course, the opposite would be if you're swinging outside to in, that's going to have its own set of issues as well. But I believe if you can follow these two ideas and you can combine them together, it really just takes a feel for the swatting motion of total freedom and relaxation and whipping action, combined with the inside to inside principle. And if you just have that club face tracking square to the arc in slow motion a few times, you start to feel what the wrists and forearms need to do in order to keep the club on that nice square arc. Swing gets to this one simple principle of throwing the club head free, square around the arc. The better my shots get, the better my misses get. That's what's really important to playing good golf is you could miss the ball all day as long as the miss is not massive. You will shoot some really good scores. Hey, so give this concept a try. We're really focusing on impact and the impact zone itself. You can have all kinds of other style points and individuality outside that, but if you can follow this principle of releasing the club free around the arc, I think you're going to get some of the best shots of your life and some of the best misses of your life too. Hey, thanks so much for watching all the way through. If you got some value out of this, would you please go down and hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my website, hititlonger.com, where you can get personalized instruction and lots more great articles and videos like this one. And since we both know that watching YouTube videos is not going to be the end all towards your success and improvement, email me at this address if you'd like to set up live one-on-one sessions. And as usual, hey, I'll either see you in the next video or I'll see you longer and straighter down the fairway. Everybody take good care.